Hello and welcome to the Superintendent's Office, a show dedicated to spotlighting the great things happening in the public schools of Robeson County. I'm Tasha Oxendine and welcome to the show. Today we have Dr. Brenda Dial Deese. She is the Director for Student Services for the Public Schools of Robeson County. Dr. Deese, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Students going into high school, meeting graduation requirements should be top priority for them. That's a huge thing, right?
This is correct. North Carolina Department of Public Instruction mandates that students take specific courses in order to fulfill graduation requirements. So each of our students have to take 22 identified credits, which could include Englishes, maths, social studies, sciences, health and PE. But we also, as a district, require 6 additional credits. So for a student to graduate, they need 28 credits. And beyond that, if you think about it, per semester, a student can take 4 courses. So that would be 8 courses a year. And then, of course, they take 4 years of college. So that's 4 times 8 is 32. So you can get 32 credits in that 4 years. But students can also take online courses so they can graduate early, or there are other programs. Now currently we do have EOCs that are mandated by the state. So students need to be able to pass the English 2, your math, and a biology.
What's an EOC?
That's the end of course. It's an end of course exam.
There's a lot of changes going on for high school students. How do you prepare the students going into 9th grade to know what they need, and how, do students come into 9th grade and they have a packet of information, or are they prepared coming out of 8th grade to know what they need?
Well, we do start in 8th grade making sure that students have access to information that tells them about those courses and what they need, what those graduation requirements are. We start though, and it's important for parents to understand, and students, that often when students are being placed in courses with administration at the high schools, that they look at those 7th and 8th grade end of grade tests. So it's important for our students to start at the very beginning, in kindergarten really, and start preparing for those high school years. So in other words, we're looking at our K through 12 grades as a school career.
So at this point, you can't, I was speaking to you recently and you said you can't decide at 9th grade to become a doctor or veterinarian or whatever. Why is it important, and crucial to decide early for those students?
Right, so students can adequately prepare. A lot of times, if you wait to 9th grade, you are just not ready for the rigor that it takes, that it requires for those advanced placement or honors classes. Attendance is also another issue that is very much overlooked sometimes, because you need to be there for the instruction. If you're not, then that can be a barrier and create failure. And I think that sometimes our students and even our parents they don't take that as seriously as they need to, because once you miss that instructional time, huge gaps appear in learning. So it's important for our students to recognize, high school does not begin in 9th grade. It really begins in kindergarten. It begins when students start developing those good practices, discipline learning. It starts when they pay attention and they take their courses, they take their work seriously, and develop those types of good work habits.
So a lot of that early learning and rigor and making the students more dependent upon themselves, the parents play a key role in that.
Absolutely. In order for students to be successful, we really need to have good parental involvement. Now there is such a thing as student accountability, and that's true, but to lay that foundation, we need parents to be involved in education starting in kindergarten, so that students, they learn how to develop a routine, they know what to do, they know the expectations, and it's just a thought, it's an expectation of the family to say, you're going to go to school and you are going to do well because you have that capacity and that ability.
When you were talking about requirements for the students, how do the career and technical education courses and the scholars program fit into these requirements as well?
Well, when we talked about the 22 required by the state, you know, it's also required for, if you're going to go to college, to have 2 world languages. So you have 4 electives that you can take. Now, the career and technical education courses, they can get a concentration in that. They cannot work to take 4 courses and they will earn a concentration. The Scholars Program is a program that tells us that students have applied themselves, they have worked hard. It's a distinguished degree. It's a distinguished distinction to know that, you know, you have worked hard and this is, you've concentrated in something like CTE, you have a concentration in your social studies or your arts, but you have applied yourself in those areas.
In what grade can students access the Scholars Program?
They start in 9th grade. You cannot wait again to wait till 11th grade to say I'm going to be a scholar. So it has to be planned really the first thing in 9th grade. And where they're exposed to that is in freshman seminar. You know, we do have a freshman seminar class for 9th graders, and that class really helps students to understand how important their courses are and how this aligns to career and how that aligns as well to university expectations. So with freshman seminars, they are exposed to the scholars programs, they're exposed to CTE, they're exposed to the Career and College Promise, which does not start until 11th grade, but again, you have to plan so that you have the courses to be able to participate in such programs.
When you're talking about the scholars doing more of a concentration before graduation, tell us a little bit more in depth about that.
Okay, well, again, they have 6 electives. That's beyond the state mandates. So, you know, they need to be able to identify their strengths. So, for example, if you have a strength in English, then what you would want to do is take 4 courses above and beyond the regular 4 English classes that you take that are required by the state, and that would give you a concentration in that area. And then, of course, if you keep your grades up in that, then what that means, you qualify to be a scholar.
Wow, that's exciting. Another program that students might utilize, you were talking about the Career and College Promise. Tell us a little bit more about the College Promise program. Does that make a difference for students as they get ready to, is it recognized by universities?
Oh, absolutely. There's 2 tracks in the Career and College Promise. One of those is career work ready, and the other one is college transfer. So if a student chooses, of course they can, in 11th grade, they can look at the application. If they have the GPA, if they have you know, disciplined themselves to make sure that their grades are strong, then they can apply for that program. Now, we do partner with Robinson Community College with this. They can go there, they can take the courses. They can either do the CTE, which means it's career ready, or they can go ahead and they can do the college transfer, which would be included on a college transcript and recognized by our university. So it's an articulation agreement, and they've determined that those courses will count towards college or university credit. And that, of course, is without payment by the student.
Is there a place where parents and students can go online, web information that will help these students identify these requirements, colleges that would be a perfect fit for them and their interest?
Yes. We have a program, it's called Career Cruising. It begins in middle school, so parents can actually begin then looking, even from home, from the comfort of home, looking at, you know, the different, we upload different documents for our parents and our students. It might be that, it might be the graduation requirements. It's the application for the career and college program. We have different articles uploaded there. So it's just a wealth of information for our parents and our students to explore. It also has universities that they can go and explore, scholarship information. It is just a repertoire of information that is needed by our students. And of course, they can access it from school or from home. And at home, you know, is a little bit more, have a little bit more comfort, but they can go through all those different documents and then ask questions your counselor, your teacher, or the administrator, the school principal.
Are you seeing that students are utilizing that from what you're seeing from the counselors and teachers? Does it seem to be something that's being utilized by our students?
It is utilized, but not anywhere near what we would like for it to be utilized. It's a program. It's called Career Cruising and Course Planner. It's purchased by our district, and students have access to it. It's very easy to access, and they're introduced to it in middle school and then again in freshman seminar. But our students, and we go there to use it for a registration process as well. But oftentimes students will just access it in the school setting. They don't access it at home, they don't explore, they don't look at all the different opportunities that are available for them.
Okay. Well, joining us today we have Dr. Brenda Dial Deese, Director for Student Services for the Public Schools of Robeson County. And when we return, we'll talk more about graduation requirements and what students need to be ready for college.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Hello and welcome back to the Superintendent's Office. I'm Tasha Oxendine. With us today is Dr. Brenda Dial Deese, and she is the Director for Student Services for the Public Schools of Robeson County. Today we are talking about graduation requirements. Dr. Deese, do students need to maintain a portfolio for their academic achievements, athletic accomplishments, and their awards throughout the year?
They do. And community involvement, their stints with community involvement and volunteering. Every bit of that needs to be documented. And of course, we were talking earlier about career cruising. It has a place in there where you can upload those awards because when you're entering in 9th grade and you're going through 12th and you're preparing to do your applications, you know, you forget a lot of those things that you did when you were in 9th grade. So it's really important for students to maintain that. In that database, we also have like a sheet where it tells you or tips about monthly what you should do to prepare as you are a senior, a junior and a senior, to ready yourself to enter into the application process and make sure that you're on track. So again, you know, we need to make sure that the students, again, that student accountability, they need to take care, keep a file, but also upload a lot of those documents so that when they're readying themselves for the application process, they have access to all the achievements, accomplishments with athletics, you know, the volunteering. All of that is significant when you're applying to the different universities and trying to be competitive with other students.
And volunteerism is key.
It is, absolutely, yes.
So the Career Cruising has a tremendous number of different things in there to help the students with every step of the way.
Absolutely. It also has little assessments, so it tells you about learning styles. You can identify your own learning style, which is really important because a lot of times, you know, if you are, let's say, a tactile learner, but your instructor or your teacher is a visual instructor, then there's going to be some conflict, and you have to learn how to accommodate that teaching style as a learner. So, you know, it's good information. It also has an abilities profiler so that you can identify easily and quickly, you know, where your strengths are, what content areas or curriculum areas do you have strengths in, and how would you align that with some of the courses, like for those concentrations that you might want to take. So, you know, it has all those different key pieces that would be an advantage to any student.
It's a busy time right now for the 12,000 8th through 12th graders who are busy registering for courses. It's a new school year, new semester getting underway. Seniors are trying to get ready to graduate. What should parents know, and how can they support the schools and their students?
One of the key things that parents should be aware of is that as we register our students, you know, we would like for them to be there physically. We want them to go out to the schools. We want them to look at our course planner, which is in Career Cruising and a part of registration, and to know, you know, what are those students' scores? Why are they taking specific courses? How does that align with the graduation requirements? What other courses, are there honors, advanced placement courses? Do they qualify for the Career and College Promise? But we need for students, especially in high school, to make sure that they are involved and out there and understanding what their students are doing. And they also need to be aware of their work ethic. You know, are the students there? Are they applying themselves in the rigorous courses? And if they aren't, why not? What is going on?
Do you see that major connection between success of a student when their parents are engaged in their learning, their education, the parents are there taking part at the school?
Oh, absolutely. If a parent is involved and if they have the expectations, then the student is going to have more expectations of themselves. They know. You know, one of the, and this is across the nation, this is just not specific to our district, but the universities are saying that our students are not always prepared as they should be. And it's because a lot of times students believe that they can take it a little easy. They should have more fun in high schools. And this is just not preparing them for the university or for college or even for the work world. So, you know, parents need to really be aware of what those expectations, what the rigor is, and have that same expectation at home that is by the teacher, actually.
And that goes back to support as well, to supporting the school staff.
Sure, yes.
When you're speaking of rigor, what is the Explore, the Plan, and the ACT, and why is it important for our students to know about them and be ready for those tests?
The Explore, the Plan, and the ACT, those are comprehensive assessments, and it allows students to comprehensively understand their own strengths, their weaknesses, and what they should do as a student to better prepare themselves. So the Explore is given in the 8th grade, the Plan is given in the 10th, and then the ACT is given in the 11th grade. Now, by the time a student is in 11th grade, if they have looked at those they've looked at the results, because it's tested in 4 areas, the science, the math, the reading, and the writing, and they look at that. If they identify their weaknesses, then they can use that information to strengthen themselves academically. As they go through that, then of course, the ACT, by the time they get into 11th grade, they should have figured out, what are my career goals, what are my plans, how am I going to achieve this? ACT, and the state pays for this. This is not something that the parents are paying for. They can use those scores to actually submit to universities and college as their entrance exam.
Wow.
Yeah, so then they don't, as long as they score high enough, and of course universities, there's different requirements for different scores for different universities. But they have that information. Students have access to, for example, if they want to attend UNCP, or they want to attend UNC Chapel Hill or North Carolina State, or even those outside of our state, they can find out what the range of scores that they need to achieve. Take that ACT in the 11th grade that one time, and it is paid for. Now, if they go beyond that, of course, the parents are responsible for paying for the ACT or the SAT.
These are obviously, they're crucial when you're talking about entrance exams. Is there anywhere that students can go to do possibly like a practice run through? I know that there are SAT study areas. Is there places that students can go to do the same?
Absolutely. We have purchased for our district, it's called Method Test Prep. Every student, 9th through 12th, has access, and it is through the Career Cruising and Course Planner. It has a wealth of information. It caters to all the learning styles. So all you have to do is, and again, you can use this from home or at school. So it's available anytime for any student to access. We also have online information. You can go to a wiki space with the Public Schools of Robeson County. There's free ACT, SAT prep information on that. And we also have courses that can be offered in the schools, and they are ACT, SAT prep. Now they will use the Method Test Prep specifically in those courses, in those classes, but again, and it needs to be understood clearly that that program is available to any student, and they have access to it 24/7.
So students can be taking like a sample test.
Right, right. They can pace themselves, they can understand where their weaknesses are, they can understand, because with the ACT there's grammar, there's English, you have reading, you have different types even within those content areas. And every bit of that information we've uploaded so that students can look at that and explore it. But we'd love for parents to be able to do that with their child as well.
Is there anything that students can, that parents should be considering developmentally about their teenagers and how this plays into an active high school life for those students?
Absolutely. Adolescent years can be difficult, and parents need to remember especially that there's 3 areas that they need to stay in tune to. One of them are relationships. Relationships, it's shown through research that if you have strong relationships, then the student, that child, is going to be more active. They're going to understand expectations, and they're going to do what they should do. Modeling is another one. Parents need to remember that they are the model. Children will look at them. They will say, well, if my parent, if this is what my parent expects, this is the way they have done certain things, this is the way I'm going to do it as well. And the last one is decision making, and that has to do with the brain. Again, research demonstrates that our frontal lobe, where decision making is not mature in adolescence. So even though they make decisions on a daily basis, parents need to remember that they still need the guidance. They still need to have the discussion as to, well, what are the consequences? It's really typical. It's not unusual for kids in adolescence to have acting out behaviors, or they are very emotionally centered, and that's normal. Sometimes we forget about that because we are far removed from adolescence. But parents need to recognize that children, they are still, actually the brain does not mature in the decision making, that cortex, until early adulthood. So parents need to understand they are not their friends, they are their parents. They need that support in decision making. They need to understand what consequences are. They need to determine what do we want, and how are we going to improve, or how are we going to have that quality of life.
And if you're a parent and you feel like you don't have the skills, or whatever approach you've been taking at this point, if you're struggling pretty much, is there a place that a parent can go, to talk to a guidance? What would you suggest for a parent to go if they feel like their student's not on track, or if they feel like their plan to develop their child is not working out as they had wanted? What's something a parent can do?
I definitely would look at resources. I would look at resources. A counselor is a good point. It's a good point for you to go in and speak. The administrator, I would talk with the school administrator to understand in a more detailed basis, why is my child not doing what they should at school? What's going on? Is it peers? Is it the social context? What is it? Identify those issues. But I would also, there's external support. You can also get mental health counselors that are available in our county. There are things that you can do. As a parent, you can do community support. There's churches out there, there's boys and girls clubs, but children need to be involved in things that are productive. Because if they are, then they are going to get the message. They are going to internalize that they need to be productive as well.
That sounds great. Well, we're looking forward to great things as students prepare to graduate for the coming year, and this was great information. So pretty much every parent can go to our website, and their student, if they're in 8th grade, they should know where the career cruising module is.
Absolutely, they do.
All right. Well, that sounds great. That's about all the time that we have today. We thank you, Dr. Deese, for coming on for us today. Joining us today was Dr. Brenda Dial Deese. She was the Director for Student Services for the Public Schools of Robeson County, with a lot of great information for graduation requirements. And with 24,000 talented children in the public schools of Robeson County, there's always something great going on across the district. Be sure to follow us on the web with our Aware magazine. Also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for daily event updates. And if you have the opportunity to read to a child, do so, because you never know what kind of difference it'll make. Have a great week.